But Yonah Freemark from the Metropolitan Planning Council also runs a blog, Transport Politic. Thanks for being here, and I want to ask you, just kind of picking up on what we have already talked about throughout the show and some of the things we're hearing on Twitter as well. Transportation as a means to revitalize a city center and to revitalize a downtown. Is that possible in what you see?
Well, here's one way to think about it. You know, transportation is the lifeblood of any city, any place. Without transportation, that place cannot exist. If you look back in time, you can see, you know, the great ports in the United States were the original biggest cities. You know, Philadelphia and New York. They became big places because of the ports. And then St. Louis became a big place because of its position at the confluence of rivers. Transportation is how we develop, and today it's been through highways for the most part, and you see that all around the St. Louis region. But I think we have an opportunity to change the way we build our transportation in a way that really emphasizes development in the downtown. Okay,
how do we do that? What would that look like?
Well, I think it really means saying that we've had enough with new highway building. It's a sad fact, but we don't have enough money and we need to prioritize. If we think it's really important to densify our existing areas and to make our existing cities nice places to live, then we need to say that unfortunately we can't spend as much money building highways, you know, out in the middle of rural areas, and we need to spend that money in the center of our cities in improving transportation there.
But building rail, that's not cheap either. It's not like we're going to get off on the budget there.
That's right. There's nothing cheap about transportation. Certainly not. You know, we're going to have to find more revenues to pay for a lot of these things. But the truth of the matter is we need to think about transportation from a wide perspective. Certainly rail is one part of it, but improving buses is another important part, and also making it easier for people to walk and bike around may actually be the most important part in terms of making our cities the most livable places they can be.
You realize we're talking about the United States of America here, right? What do you have against cars, Mr. Freemark?
I have nothing against cars. I have a problem with cities and places that are not nice places to live, not nice places to walk around. I think we should be doing as much as we can to make our society and our cities and even our suburbs really nice places for people to live. And I just don't think that building highways, you know, has accomplished that over the past 50 years.
So can you really shift the kind of car-loving culture in a city like St. Louis?
You know, it's going to be a relatively slow process. That's the truth of the matter. If you look at other cities that have invested tremendously in their mass transportation systems, like Washington, D.C., the transformation has taken, you know, 30, 40 years. But you can see it in places just outside Washington, like Arlington or Montgomery County in Maryland. Both of those places have changed tremendously and become very walkable, very inviting urban places because of the decision made in the 1960s and 1970s to invest in public transportation. So it takes a long time, but you can definitely see it happen if you make the right choices.
We're hearing on Twitter that this has a benefit for small business. Do you see a connection between transportation, walkability, small business?
Well, I think that the way that we've designed our cities and our transportation systems over the past 50 years has emphasized large retailers for obvious reasons, right? I mean, if you're driving around for the most part, you're going to drive up to your local Walmart or drive up to your local Costco because those are the places that can build off of highways. But if you create environments that are more walkable and accessible via transit, these are places where people want to go to small storefronts. So in terms of attracting local business and maintaining an area for local business, it has to be walkable for it to work.
Are you describing a utopian society, if you allow me to push back just a little bit here? I mean, Walmart and Costco are successful because they're cheaper. If you shop at your swanky boutique neighborhood, it's going to cost you a lot more.
You know, it might cost you something more, but at the same time, in order to get to that Walmart or Costco, you have to spend gas money. You have to spend money to maintain your car. You have to pay taxes to pay for the roads that you're using. But if you're walking to a neighborhood store, things are a lot cheaper in terms of transportation. But you have to think of that in terms of your whole life, not just one exclusive trip. If you choose to live in a place where it's easier to walk around and where it's easier to get things, right within a few blocks of where you live, then you can reduce your transportation costs tremendously compared to people who are forced to rely on the car, to go to Walmart or Costco.
What role, we've been talking a little bit about vision, what role does, say, large employers play in this, or other large institutions?
Well, you know, I think there has to be sort of a game change when we think of what decisions employers and also the public sector are making about how, you know, you build new facilities and have new office space and have new retail. Just to think of it this way, you know, the state of Missouri, as with many states, throws out millions of dollars of economic development money to new employers to attract them, to keep them in the state, and that makes sense to some degree because other states are doing it. But the state of Missouri needs to think about, does it matter where those employees are, or should they be anywhere? You know, they could choose, the state of Missouri could choose tomorrow to say, we will give you that economic development money, but it needs to be in downtown St. Louis or downtown Kansas City. Otherwise, it's not going to work.